Hello and welcome back to Wyrd Wessex. I'm Andy.
And I'm Craig.
So, Craig, what mysteries are we delving into today?
Well, today, ahead of our interview with Mark Ryan about the Wildwood Tarot, we're delving into the fascinating and sometimes mysterious history of these cards. A tarot deck is a set of 78 cards used for everything from games to, well, perhaps something more.
So, these early Triomphi decks, what were they like? Were they just like our modern playing cards, or?
Not exactly. While they share the concept of suits and numbered cards, Triomphi decks also included a set of special trump cards, the Triomphi themselves, which depicted allegorical figures and scenes. Think of them as miniature works of art.
I mean, that sounds fascinating. So, what made these Triomphi so special? And I've heard they're connected to other card games, like Carnival.
Yeah, you're right. So to understand the Triomphi, let's talk about Trumps. Not that Trump.
So, it's not a political podcast,
We're gonna get banned from YouTube for talking about Trump now. Wrong Trump.
or have ourselves boosted, depending on what we say.
Yeah, not orange Trumps. So to understand the Triomphi, let's talk about Trumps. In many card games, a Trump suit beats all other cards. It adds strategy. So the Triomphi act like a permanent Trump suit. And you're right about Carnival, a popular European card game that also used trump cards. These named trumps, along with the Triomphi, are forerunners of the Major Arcana.
That's interesting. I've heard Carnival was quite a complex game, and some people even think it had a connection to older forms of fortune telling. It sort of makes you wonder if those early cards are already sort of dabbling in something more than just a friendly game. So these Triomphi, how many were there, and what sort of kind of images did they have? Were they all kings and queens, or were they more sort of unusual characters?
Well, the numbers varied, but generally around 22. They depicted allegorical figures and scenes representing concepts like virtue, fortune, death, the world, and so on. They were symbolic representations of different aspects of life, the universe, and the human experience.
So that's quite a range of concepts: virtue, fortune, death. It sort of sounds like these cards were dealing with some pretty big themes. It makes you wonder what sort of stories people were telling with these cards, even before they were used for divination. It's almost like they were trying to make sense of the world, maybe even the other world, through these symbolic images. So we talked about the Triomphi, which became the Major Arcana. What about the rest of the deck?
So a complete tarot deck has 78 cards in total, divided into two main sections, the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana. We've explored the Major Arcana's origins with Triomphi, so let's turn our attention to the Minor Arcana.
The Minor Arcana is often compared to a regular deck of playing cards, and in some ways that's true. It's made up of four suits, just like a standard deck.
Exactly, and these suits are generally swords, wands, cups, and coins. These are the ancestors of our modern spades, clubs, hearts, and diamonds. Each suit has 10 numbered cards from ace to 10, and then four court cards, page, knight, queen, and king.
I'll put in there actually that Becky has a really cool sort of old card set from Spain, and they are, sort of they do represent those, the cups, the coins, the wands, and the knight. Yeah, so it's and the swords. Sorry, so it's yeah, they're really cool. Very very sort of, and they have got, even before I sort of reading into tarot, they've got that sort of tarot feel to them.
So yeah, later as the game becomes more akin to what we think of as tarot reading, these become associated with particular characteristics. So swords are often associated with intellect, conflict or challenges. Wands are often linked to creativity, action, and energy. Cups are frequently related to emotions, relationships, and feelings. And coins, or sometimes discs, are typically connected to material matters, resources, or stability.
It's like having two decks in one then. The Major Arcana with its symbolic figures and the Minor Arcana with its more sort of everyday themes. It really shows how versatile, I guess, tarot can be.
Yeah, exactly. And that versatility extends beyond just divination. Many people use tarot for self-reflection, exploring their own inner landscape and gaining insights into personal challenges. It's a way to connect with intuition and tap into inner wisdom.
I've also heard of people using tarot for storytelling and other sort of creative pursuits. I guess it's fascinating how these images can unlock something within us, like sparking ideas we might not have had otherwise considered.
Yeah, so the rich imagery makes them a fantastic tool for creative inspiration. For example, writers might use a card like the Tower to represent a sudden upheaval in their story, or the Hermit to symbolize a character's journey of self-discovery. Artists can use the colors and symbols of the cards to inspire their paintings and sculptures. Even game designers use tarot to create intricate character backstories or design entire game worlds. It's a way to connect with intuition and tap into inner wisdom, that same wellspring of creativity that inspires artists and storytellers. The creative potential is limitless.
Yeah, it's amazing how tarot has evolved. It started as a simple card game, then became this powerful tool for self-discovery and even creative inspiration. It's almost like the potential for something more was always there,
Yeah.
waiting to be unlocked. So how did it make this leap into divination, though? When did people start seeing these cards as more than just entertainment and start using them to try and glimpse into the future?
I mean, that's a fascinating question in itself. The exact timeline is still debated. It's a mystery that adds to the intrigue of Tarot's story. While Tarot's origins are firmly rooted in card games, the shift towards divination seems to have occurred later, most likely sometime in the 18th century. This transformation took root particularly in France, which has become a fertile ground for new ideas and a growing interest in the esoteric.
So, what sparked this change? It's hard to pinpoint one single cause, but the rise of occultism and esoteric movements played a significant role. The 18th and 19th centuries saw a growing interest in mysticism, spiritualism, and other hidden knowledge, particularly in France. Imagine candlelit salons filled with people discussing esoteric ideas. These intriguing tarot cards spread out on the table before them, promising glimpses into the unseen. This intellectual climate created a sort of fertile ground for the development of tarot as a divination tool. We see influence of figures like Taylor, a French cartomancer who was one of the first to popularize tarot divination, developing his own unique interpretations and even his own deck.
So, what exactly is a cartomancer?
Cartomancy is the practice of using playing cards, sometimes other sets of cards like tarot, for divination or fortune telling. It's essentially a way of using the cards to gain insights into the past, present, or future, or explore different aspects of a situation or a person's life. Attila was a key figure in the development of cartomancy. He helped establish many of the techniques and interpretations that are still used to this day. He saw tarot as a powerful tool for understanding the human condition and connecting with deeper spiritual truths. Attila's work was foundational, and alongside him, other important figures were contributing to the development of occult tarot. These included figures like Eliphas Levi and Pappus, who further developed and codified, meaning organized and symmetrized the symbolism and interpretations. Tarot symbolism and interpretations connecting it to other esoteric traditions like astrology, where each card was associated with a planet or a zodiac sign. Kabbalah, which provided the framework for understanding the mystical significance of numbers and symbols, and alchemy, which offered a symbolic language for transformation and spiritual growth. This was a period of intense interest in hidden knowledge and symbolic language, and tarot, with its rich imagery, became a key part of that movement. And while France was central hub to this, it's important to remember that other regions were also developing their own unique tarot traditions.
As interest in the occult grew, so did the interpretation of tarot as a tool for fortune telling and self discovery. This growing interest in the occult led to the formation of secret societies dedicated to exploring these mysteries, and one of the most influential of these was the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Founded in London in the late 19th century, the Golden Dawn was a highly influential organization that attracted many prominent figures of the time, including writers, artists, intellectuals, and Aleister Crowley.
So, what was their focus?
They studied and practiced various forms of occultism, including ceremonial magic, Kabbalah, astrology, and of course, tarot. They developed a complex system of magical teachings and rituals, and they incorporated tarot into the system, assigning specific meanings and correspondences to the cards. They synthesized various esoteric traditions from Kabbalah to astrology to alchemy and incorporated them into their teachings on tarot. Figures like Wyrd Wessex and S.L. McGregor Mathers contributed to this work, laying the groundwork for what would become standard interpretations. The Golden Dawn saw tarot as much more than just a game. They viewed it as a powerful tool for spiritual development and self discovery. People began to explore the symbolic meanings of the cards, developing different systems and interpretations. For example, some focused on the numerological significance of the cards, while others looked to astrological correspondences. This led to the creation of various tarot decks and traditions, each with its own unique approach. And it was within this context of evolving interpretations and growing interest in tarot that one deck in particular would emerge as incredibly influential, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck.
Oh, definitely. And that's probably the deck most people picture when they think of the tarot, right?
Indeed. There's one behind us. It really is.
Oh, there we go. There we go. It's the most popular and influential tarot deck in the world today. Created in the early 20th century by Arthur Edward Waite, a member of the Golden Dawn, and illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, its clear and accessible imagery combined with Waite's carefully considered symbolism, drawing on sources like medieval Christian iconography, alchemy, astrology, and the teachings of the Golden Dawn, made it easier for people to learn and interpret the cards. Smith's unique artistic style, with its bold lines and evocative use of colour, also contributed to the deck's appeal. Its accessibility and comprehensive symbolism have made it the standard for many tarot readers. You can find everything from traditional decks based on ancient symbolism to modern artistic interpretations that reflect contemporary culture. These are decks inspired by mythology like the popular mythic tarot, fantasy, nature, and even specific artistic visions like the striking Nordic tattoo tarot deck by K.O. Fast.
Heard of him?
Yeah?
Yeah. He was on my podcast.
Oh, I'll have
In
to
case
get...
anyone wants to see that.
You've got another podcast?
You know I do. Will I like it?
Oh yeah, I've been on that. Probably drank too much, get the taste out of my
I
mouth.
forgot.
Oh no, trust me, I can't forget those. The possibilities are endless. It remains popular and an influential deck. It became a shorthand for mystery, intuition, and the unknown, a visual language that speaks to something deep within us. Sometimes it's used for dramatic effect to foreshadow events or reveal character traits. Other times it's treated with more reverence as a genuine tool for insight. It's interesting to see how different creators interpret and portray tarot. So it's a bit like the Rosetta Stone of tarot, helping us to understand and interpret the symbolism of other decks.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. It's a foundational deck like the Rosetta Stone that has shaped the way we think about and use tarot. But it's important to remember that it's just one tradition among many. There are countless other fascinating tarot decks out there, each with its own unique perspective, often reflecting particular cultural or artistic influence. And tarot has also made its way into our broader culture.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it really highlights how tarot continues to evolve, doesn't it? It's like these ancient symbols are constantly being reborn, finding new ways to speak to us from across the generations. And that brings us to the Wildwood Tarot, which is rooted in the British Isles, a deck that offers its own unique take on this ancient tradition. But we'll be delving into all of that and the unique vision behind the Wildwood Tarot in our next episode when we interview its creator, Mark Ryan. Mark is well known as an actor, a writer, a producer, maybe best known for his voice work as Bumblebee and a few other Transformers in the Transformers film franchise. But he's also well known, for me, more well known, to fans of Robin of Sherwood, a series that really heavily influenced the creation of the Wildwood deck. So we'll be chatting with Mark about all that in our next episode. But first, should we do some weird news?
Or shall we do a tarot?
Oh, we could do a tarot. Maybe we'll become the weird news.
Tarots.
Tarots.
Let's do some tarot.
Let's do a tarot reading.
Big reveal, guys. It's tarot, actually.
Yeah,
Been saying it wrong for years.
We've been doing a lot of research on this, and it is indeed tarot.
I mean, should we use the Wildwood deck?
I'd like to use the Wildwood deck.
I've not actually used it yet. I'll be honest, I bought it because it's pretty.
The artwork is stunning.
That's the only reason I bought it.
Should we go for the fake one?
No. It's fine. Mark forgave me. I have his blessing.
There was a reveal that Craig did on this that a lot of you might have seen, but there we go. We won't be using that one.
Don't use fake decks. They actually don't work.
There you go. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, there you are. Give you the wrong reading.
So we have the Wildwood Tarot deck just here. That's you. It's your deck.
So to keep this fairly simple, we're going to start with the 3-card spread.
Yeah.
So basically, we're going to think of a problem, something we want to work on. shuffle the deck, and we're going to place 3 cards face down. The middle card represents the problem. The left card represents the action to avoid, to keep away from that problem. And the right card will represent what you should do to solve that issue.
Okay. And I suppose this could go for multiple people. This could go for just one of us. Is it, is it more the person asking it, or could this be?
Yeah, so the person shuffling is the person asking the question.
Yeah.
No, let's give it a go. I need to think of a problem first.
You sure you got plenty? One standing right next to you.
Yeah. How do we get rid of Andy? Right. So, and we're going to have to read the interpretations of the cards from the book because I don't know them. It's a new deck and there's a lot to learn. But we'll read them. We probably won't interpret it. I guess I won't even tell you the question. Will I tell you the question? That's difficult. Don't tell people the question. They can't tell me what they think the interpretation is.
This is true. You're inviting a whole world of interpretations that way if you do, aren't you?
I had a problem in my mind and now I'm like, I don't know if I want to publicize that.
Yeah, well, maybe it could be, this will be revealed in a future episode. And then you can decide whether you want to reveal it or not.
Imagine if we ask the same question and we get the same answer.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I realised how embarrassing it is that I'm not very good at shuffling giant cards either. Or normal cards.
I'm not very good at shuffling cards.
But I'm mixing them up. So I pick. I need to check actually. So does it say to pick from the top? Or was it just random? There's draw 3 cards. So at random? Doesn't specify, does it? Sorry, people, if you do tarot, you can feel free to contact us and let us know. I'm going to shuffle them again because I need to now concentrate on my question. So I guess if we're drawing, then we're taking from the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we place out 3 cards. Again, if you think I'm doing this wrong, apologies. Not done this before. So we're learning as we go here. So the middle one is supposed to represent what I've asked. The King of Arrows. And it says to consider whether that represents your problem. So yeah, reading points. You may need to exercise judgment, power, force of will. The king is impartial and helps you to see clearly what you no longer need to hold on to. Use your strength to cut yourself free of what weighs you down. Well, I mean, we'll carry on with it and we'll see, because I can't think how that relates to my question, but maybe it'll become clear. So this is supposedly the action I'm not supposed to follow, right? The thing to avoid is the Queen of Bows.
Queen of Bows, which is in the next section of the book.
Got bows and arrows.
Right. So it's a hare. So the reading points: a companion through life, sympathetic and understanding, leading you to a deeper awareness of what is needed to bring you success to every enterprise. Wise and witty, gentle and kindly, the Queen supports you and strengthens your resolve. So is it a person in your life? Is it? I don't know if you want to reveal this.
So I'd probably put it under the event happening, actually. So yeah, you can read that if you like.
Offering courteous understanding, using your ambition creatively, harbouring slights and insults, and undermining the plans of others. A party or social gathering, a business opportunity, a peace offering, confrontation or burnout, sorcery or petty spellcraft.
So that's the action to avoid. So now this is the action to take.
Okay.
Based on my question. The Guardian.
Guardian.
Perhaps I should hold these up, actually. So the King of Arrows is the Kingfisher here. These are beautiful. I love the artwork on these. As I said, that's what drew me to them. There's your hair. And then the Guardian. I mean, look at this fella.
That's fantastic.
So
the Guardian is of the Major Arcana. So yeah, the reading points. A challenge has arrived in your life.
Yes.
The situation may be very complex. It may even have profound implications in your life and how you deal with the world. It may manifest itself in the form of a profound inner realignment or facing some of the physical outer predicament. Whether from labyrinth that is the human mind or some external source, the challenge that presents itself must now be seen for what it is, an opportunity. If something has been hidden or repressed, if a situation has been left to decay or become unhealthy, now is the time to take control of your fears and deal with the insecurity with courage and integrity. Always be aware that however threatening or difficult the situation is, You can only become stronger and more resilient from the experience of understanding and accepting your inner darkness. So, how do you feel on that?
I don't feel like the first one really represented the question.
Okay.
I think maybe the last one could be. Again, I mean, it's making stuff fit,
Yeah.
right? As a skeptic, I'm like, well, am I trying to make this fit now? I don't know. I'd have to think on that one. The last one could kind of fit as a solution.
Okay. Shall I have a go?
I think you should have a go.
Right. So, this is going to be my question.
Yeah.
Now, I might allude to it, but yeah, it's related to how I'm viewing something and how I react to something in the wider world. What a fiery fellow. I have the two of bows.
Two of bows. The meaning, it says, the subconscious senses related to the desire to resolve decisions are awakened. The gateway stands open before the individual prepared to take positive action.
I think that could relate, actually, yeah.
So reading points, the bow represents not just the potential energy latent within any situation, but the need to direct and manage that energy to achieve your goals. This can mean the first movement towards reinvigorating and reforming the relationship with life. It requires the decisive will to step across a threshold and take control in a positive and proactive manner.
Yeah, so that is it's very Wilmington sort of longman, isn't it?
Mm.
The picture of the two staves.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at the action that it sort of suggests not taking, or the cards suggest not taking.
Thing to avoid.
The Ace of Bows.
Oh, same page.
That is the Ace of Bows.
As the turning of the cosmic axis generates the spark of life, so the kindling of a flame sparks the necessary light and warmth in our lives. The dual bow suggests the human element, our partnership with the environment in which we live, and the mastery of its gifts. It's making sense?
Okay, not quite sure. Maybe I'll ponder that one. This is the path to take. And it's the Three of Bows. I think we just neither have shuffled this very well because we both shuffled it now, and I've just got the same suit.
Destiny.
There you go, maybe the Three of Bows fulfillment.
Okay. I mean, we'll go with it for the sakes of this thing. I think we both need more practice at this.
I am an archer though, so I'm loving the bows.
Nourishment from a spiritual source gives inner security and joy. Goals and desires are reached, making life rich with emotional scrutiny and a sense of completion.
That
All
does,
three of them are kind of about emotions.
yeah, and it is
relationships.
kind of tied to my question actually. So yeah, it's how I'm responding to events in the wider world, and yeah, that kind of makes sense.
It says the archer must be at one with the bow to fully direct its potential energy. And just as just as the arrow passes through the bow, propelling it to its target with effortless grace, the questing heart and seeker of knowledge allows the energy to flow through him. This combination of balanced energy and intellectual focus enables the mastering of any situation and allows the enrichment of success by being both at one with the environment and its inhabitants.
That does sort of make sense. That sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
As Craig said, we are quite new to this, so this is our first effort. Maybe we'll revisit this later on and
Yeah.
be masters of tarot at that point.
I think as a teen, maybe young adult, I might have had some tarot. It might have been one of those other kind of related type decks, though, like the Oracle cards. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
A long time ago. You're talking 20 odd years ago.
I mean, Becky's read my tarot a few times, or in a sort of might have even been a 3 card before, but
I think that's a fairly standard thing to do, from what I understand.
But it wasn't in that form quite as much. Well, it might have been actually. It's and as Craig mentioned, there are other cards. You got Oracle decks, things like that. I've got the Oracle deck that sort of pairs with this. So
just out of interest, because all your cards were the same: bows, stones, journey, mirror.
oh wow,
They are fairly well shuffled.
they're pretty well shuffled. I just happened to get
the seer, forest lovers, the archer, the wheel. These are fairly mixed, I would say. So yeah, we'll consider what those say. I'll obviously practice a bit more with the tarot, try and learn the meanings a bit more and then interpretations, because I kind of like the idea. Personally, I'm not a believer that it's anything like occult, I suppose is the word to use, but I get the fact that it could be at least triggering you to think about certain things. I
Yeah,
see why it works as like therapy, or Mark mentioned it being meditative and stuff like that.
yeah,
That makes
I'm more inclined sort of with Mark on that one. Like, I mean, we've spoken about it briefly before, but for me, I think it is a way of sort of clarifying. Like, you flip a coin to work out one or two decisions, right? Yes or no, whatever.
got one of them.
So have I. Um, but a lot of the time, a coin isn't the best thing for that. It's more of a thing for working out what you actually want. You know, so heads I'll do it, tails I don't. I'll do it. Oh, I didn't really want to do it, and that sort of helps you with your decision. I think tarot is maybe a more elaborate, maybe more sort of precise, potentially way of doing that. You know, it's a way of working out what you actually want when you don't really know, or what path you need to
Yeah.
take, or you know, sort of what you feel is going to happen. If you're looking as an oracle to the future, for example, it's less telling you what's going to happen and more sort of a what you actually fear will happen or you want to happen,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of fear, why don't we fear it like we do Ouija, you reckon?
I think it's to do with things like movies and TV shows. I don't think it's depicted in a negative way.
Yeah, I guess tarot's never like, you know, sort of that doesn't seem to, you know, invite a haunting or a possession like Ouija does in films.
Apparently, there was a horror film come out last year.
Yes. Was it called Tarot
I
actually?
think it is
Yeah.
called Tarot, but I don't know what
It's on my
happens in it.
list.
But I think it's a horror based around tarot. But other than that, I couldn't find any reason that people fear tarot, which I don't know why that is.
I mean, certain people do. Like I'm thinking of doing it for a sort of an extra bit at the end, maybe a Substack thing. I don't know, but carrying on the weird conversation afterwards. But there are these things called chick tracts. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
They're these little cartoons that certain church groups are putting out in America, like real hardcore evangelical sort of fire and brimstone ones.
Hmm.
And it's all like, and some of them are hilarious, but it's all warning against the dangers of heavy metal, D&D. And there's one on tarot, and they've got a list of things that are ungodly and you can't do. And one of the big ones is tarot, that's seen as demonic. And I think certain people in that sort of scope, they do
Yeah.
have that fear and association with tarot,
It's
and they do see
satanic
it.
panic stuff again,
Well,
isn't
it
it?
is all satanic panic, but
Yeah.
I definitely think we should go over some because I think you'll love them. But but no, I think you're right. It hasn't got that Hollywood hype attached to it, and also,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't the origin of it, it is connected now with speaking to spirits and the dead, whereas tarot less so.
Yeah, I think I don't think that's an interpretation, is it, for tarot? I don't think people think they're contacting the dead
No,
when they
no,
do
but
it.
I'm saying Ouija is, you know, and I think
Yeah.
that's why Ouija is seen as a more dangerous thing because you are, you know, sort of summoning the dead to come and speak to you or other, you know, sort of beings, whereas tarot isn't seen in that light.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we do some weird news?
No.
All right, fair enough. I've been Andy.
I've got some weird news.
Got some weird news.
Yeah, found this 2 minutes ago because I like to do my research.
Fantastic.
Hot off the presses yesterday. Mysterious QR code stickers appear on more than 1,000 graves in Munich.
Okay, does it explain what the QR code was linking to?
I don't know. Should we find out?
Let's find out.
So yeah, this comes from Sky News, just to credit the source. The stickers have appeared at the Waldfriedhof, Sendlinger Friedhof, and Friedhof Solin cemeteries in the southern German city. Apologies, Germany. Don't think we've had to do one of them before. We must have done because we did the Hinterkaifeck.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
exactly.
must have done a butchering of German before.
I just remember you struggling to get through a certain phrase in that. Talk
Look,
about
the man dropped a nut. We're very mature on this show.
Indeed.
So
Put your dick away now.
I haven't. They just can't see it on camera. This is how I always record. I'm naked from the waist down.
It's
Did you
very
not know?
unpleasant. It's why I'm not here very much. You know, it's very unpleasant. I've got ways of getting me through though.
Destroying my studio now.
Yeah.
All right, so more than 1,000 stickers were put on gravestones and wooden crosses at 3 cemeteries in the southern German city of Munich. The stickers, which have been put on both old and recent graves, have a QR code that, when scanned, shows the name of the person buried and the location of their grave in the cemetery.
Hmm. I'm assuming if you're by a grave scanning it, if they're are they individuals, they all go to the same one. Sorry, was that?
No, it says they go, when scanned, they show the name of the person buried and the location of the grave in the cemetery.
I'm assuming if you're by the grave scanning the QR code, you know where the grave is because you're right by it.
You'd hope so, wouldn't
Yeah.
you? Maybe if you're lost.
I guess so. Yeah. Oh, that's where I am. That's who this is.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, though.
It says police are investigating the incident. I think there are better things that police can do with their time, right? There's not much going on in Munich these days. It says they haven't found any pattern behind it yet. The stickers were put both on decades-old gravestones and very new graves that so far only have a wooden cross. People who have witnessed anybody putting the stickers on the graves are asked to reach out to the respective cemetery's administration.
Yeah. I don't think that's pretty cool. Like, it's no harm done, right?
I mean, it seems like it could have been done by the cemeteries themselves
Yeah.
as a useful thing. It doesn't feel like
Yeah,
some
at least
rando's going to
someone
have
in
done.
the cemetery, like, sort of connected to that cemetery, like,
Yeah.
part of the team there.
It doesn't feel like a random person would do that. It's a
No.
lot of effort to go to. So I think there's probably a logical explanation.
Well, there's a story. It was a bit of a dark one, and we didn't end up using it. We recorded it as a short when I was in Hartford about a lady that was murdered in Hartford in the 1899, and her grave is in a cemetery in Hartford.
Yeah.
And I know what cemetery it's in, but I can't for the life of me. It's a massive one, and I can't find it. And I could really use something like that. That would be quite handy for me. So I do have a weird news story.
Yeah.
It was from Sky News as well. So it's quite romantic. It's about, maybe you could look at it as a perfume or something, sweet and spicy, the smell. Ancient Egyptian mummies smell sweet and spicy, researchers say.
And how do they know that?
Researchers used what they describe as trained human sniffers, maybe my new band name, to study the scent of 9 mummified bodies.
Wow.
Ancient Egyptian mummies smell woody, spicy, and sweet, according to researchers who took
A
part
lot
in a
like
unique
me, actually.
study. Maybe you are a mummy, or that's what I just call you. Researchers use what they describe as trained human sniffers and equipment like electronic artificial noses of sorts to study the scent of 9 mummified bodies. They said the smell was a key consideration for ancient Egyptians when it came to the mummification process, meaning that even 5,000 years later, conservators widely consider the aroma pleasant. I couldn't imagine describing sniffing a corpse from 5,000 years ago as pleasant, but there you go.
I mean, corpse sniffer. That's got a bad name.
Yeah, corpse sniffer. Yeah. It's definitely sort of sludge metal, black metal sort of thing, due to the use of resins and oils such as pine, cedar, and juniper. The findings, researchers say, were published in the Journal of the American Chemical Society, also a bad name, show that the smell can be used as a way of analysing the preserved bodies in a non-invasive way.
Days.
But they also want to find a way to recreate the smells in museums to give visitors the full mummy experience. The research carried out by teams at the University College London and the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, in collaboration with conservators and curators at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo.
That puts me in mind of there's a guy who is one of the warriors in Highland called Ruben, who I met in York last year.
Oh, yes.
And he was on, I think, Nordic Mythology podcast.
Yeah, I think you mentioned him before.
And he works within, he does photography, but I'm sure it was him. I hope I haven't got the wrong person. But he was talking about kind of making museums a little bit more interactive. So with like soundscapes and things like that. So when you're walking around, it's not just here's a display.
Becky's, she's sort of just finished her master's in sort of museum studies, and that's an area that really interests her, making the sort of museum experience sort of not just interactive, but sort of more accessible as well, because some of that you can recreate at home, probably not smells, but sort of so, in a digital space as well. But yeah, she's very interested in making that sort of experience in museums.
The Viking Museum in York,
Yes, yeah, you got
famous for the
yeah,
smells
yeah,
when you
that's
go on the
it.
little ride.
You can buy a scratch card, a scratch and sniff, from the gift shop there. Someone brought me one back.
Wow.
But yeah, so goes on to say the lead professor, Matija Sterlik, says the smell of mummified bodies has for years attracted significant interest from experts and the general public, but no combined chemical and perceptual study has been conducted until now. The groundbreaking research really helps us better plan conservation and understand this ancient embalming materials. It adds another layer of data to enrich the museum exhibition of mummified bodies. I was just scrolling down to see if it mentions anything about. Oh, yeah, there you go. Use various techniques and scientific equipment to identify the chemicals emitted by the mummified bodies. Then the panel of human sniffers, that's in inverted commas, describe the smells in terms of quality, intensity, and pleasantness.
They should employ
Go
that
on.
guy from My Weird News ages ago who was sniffing people's shoes.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's sort of just focus
Just
down
do a
there.
job.
I mean that's either like that could be like the ultimate quest for him, right? It's like
That's his dream job.
yeah, that's it. Sniffed shoes from now to 5,000 years ago. They said they would now attempt to create smellscapes in museums of ancient mummy exhibits to enable audiences to experience this important aspect of ancient Egyptian heritage. So there you go. That's I like that one. That's
It's quite a pleasant story for us.
yeah, I'd say so. Pleasantly smelling, apparently. Anyway, yeah. Hope they never do a smellscape of me
Me too.
and me. That is on that note, on that smelly note, that is about it from us, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So thank you once again for tuning in, and yeah, be sure to catch us next time for our interview with Mark Ryan.
And head to our Substack.
Yeah.
There's some extra episodes where we carry on talking after we've recorded called Afterwards.
Might be looking at some chick tracks on those at some point, which are again hilarious. So definitely worthwhile, I'd say.
And then there's some bonus episodes as well, which you won't get on the main feed. And if you subscribe on Substack, you can still listen in your normal podcast apps. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Until next time, thanks again and stay weird.